Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Moltrab in the hizzy once again, coming at you with Game 2 of SK Telecom 1 versus eSTRO. And this is going to be a really great game. I can feel it in my bones. Hopefully. This is going to be Fantasy versus UpMagic. And you know what? Fantasy, I just gotta say, he's a little bit overrated. I just wanted to say I've realized, like, I thought he was kind of overrated before, but I wasn't sure. Maybe he's okay, maybe he's good. Well, some people pointed out to me recently in comments on videos and other stuff that really he is pretty overrated. All he does is use vultures. Every matchup, every game, every time he does a bunch of vultures. Actually, TVT is probably a little bit different, but he thrives off his vultures, and he does very well at it. You know, there's nothing wrong with vultures necessarily, but he doesn't do anything that's very interesting anymore. I mean, he came up with this whole fantasy build where he went for some Valkyries, and that opened things up a lot. And actually, I don't know why it took fantasy going for this weird Valk build to cause people to, uh-oh, what's going on here? We're going to see some proxy 8 racks action. By the way, UpMagic is the orange Terran in the top right, and Fantasy is the purple Terran in the bottom left. And, okay, so we're just seeing a really, really early scout, I think. Well, no, actually it looks like he's going to put a forward barracks, or maybe a hidden barracks, some kind, I guess. We'll see what he does up there. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. Yeah, it looks like he's going to put, like, a hidden forward barracks. So what he's going to be able to do is produce Marines there, and that'll make it so that his barracks is closer to Fantasy's base, so that when he lifts it and moves it, he can actually run it into Fantasy's base and use it as a scouting tool much earlier than it would be if he was floating it all the way across the map. Although that's kind of a strange position for it, to be honest. I would have thought he would have put it in maybe a little bit closer position. It's a little bit far up to be used as a scouting thing. And he doesn't appear to be going for any kind of hidden racks with a second racks or anything like that, which we actually saw Fantasy do once, I believe. I don't remember who against. But anyway, yeah, so Fantasy, I don't like him. I mean, people say he's creative, but because of the Fantasy build, and he kind of opened things up for mech against Zerg, which just made things a little bit more interesting, to say the very least, regardless of what one may think about a mech versus Zerg. But yeah, he hasn't really been generally that innovative, and there has also been people that have been saying, like, oh, you know, he's just a pawn of Boxer and Uv, you know, telling him what to do, and they're the ones coming up with the strategies or something like that, and he's actually just executing them. So anyway, part of the reason I mention this, because UpMagic, the other player that we have in this game, the Orange Terran, is a friggin' genius. This guy is seriously brilliant. He is just so smart. And I'm not even exaggerating that because I like him or anything like that. I don't think I would be remiss to say that he is probably one of the smartest players ever to play this game. I mean, if he had been playing earlier, he probably would have been, you know, the next Boxer, because he's that smart. He's come up with, you know, interesting strategies. He's pretty much one of the only ones that has actually kept innovation in the game of StarCraft in the last couple years. You know, I mean, well, a lot of players innovate here and there, but UpMagic is the only one that's been consistently innovative, always making new strategies, new ideas, you know, that kind of thing. Fantasy getting a command center down there, and now we see UpMagic's barracks is going to be able to run into Fantasy's base and see exactly what's going on, see what build he's going. And this is a crucial moment in the game as well for him to be doing that, because this is the point where the Terrans are going to pick, are they going to go for a second factory, are they going to go for a single starport, are they going to go for a double starport? He's already seen that expansion, so he knows that that's the strat that he's gone for. It looks like UpMagic has also gone for an expansion. But anyway, so he's going to be able to run that in there and see exactly what's being made there, and just a few Marines is not enough to kill that barracks before he can really see what's going on. Anyway, but yeah, UpMagic just always coming with brilliant strategies, and we just saw this the other day against Luxury, and if you haven't seen that game, I won't spoil the results, but you should go watch Diggity's commentary of that. I'm the one that I saw that game live, and I said, Diggity, you have to commentate this game. It is the most ridiculous game of the season. Pay no attention to the fact that it was the first game of the day of the season, but it probably will remain one of the best games of the season because it was that good. It was that crazy of a game. And we saw some really good innovation from UpMagic in that game. And so, yeah, that's just one example. I remember he came up with some brilliant builds versus Jadong and MSL a couple seasons ago. A few seasons ago, I guess, rather. Anyway, yes, brilliant player. And I've said that in a video before that even Daniel Lee, who used to be the head coach of eSTRO, told me that he's just a super smart player, and he's always come up with crazy stuff. Anyways, so enough doting on UpMagic here. Both players pretty much playing a little bit passively. Fantasy, I would normally have expected to be a little bit more aggressive. I know I said that about Bisu too, but usually you see Fantasy try and run up and do some shenanigans here. But he's playing pretty defensively. I guess maybe because he got that expansion. There's his vultures. Go gadget vultures. Oftentimes, okay, so we actually see some tanks coming out for UpMagic, and that may give UpMagic an advantage. It's going to come down to micro. If Fantasy is researching mines, he could theoretically do a surround on the tanks, plant some mines around it, and that can be very tricky to deal with. And it looks like Fantasy is, yeah, he's just going all vultures here. UpMagic has a lot of vultures as well, though, but he's probably not going to have the same upgrades because he's been spending his gas on. Well, I don't know actually. He may have similar upgrades as far as mines, what have you. But yeah, UpMagic has a couple less vultures and a couple extra tanks, and he's actually able to float his barracks here. And he's probably researching siege mode. I'll bet he's researching siege mode right now, so he can siege up below that ramp and attack Fantasy's expansion from below. Here he goes in. Oh, he's got that barracks to give vision, and Fantasy's trying to run by. He's going to try and run by and attack the reinforcements coming in. Fantasy doing a really good job of target firing UpMagic's vultures there. He kills off a couple vultures, does not take any hits of his own. And oh my gosh, we could see some elimination race action here but this is going to go the advantage to UpMagic because UpMagic is already in Fantasy's base, whereas UpMagic has some time to build more forces to deal with these vultures from Fantasy. This could be really bad for Fantasy. He's having to bring off the vultures, SCVs to fight those vultures. Vultures and tanks now in his base. I don't know what kind of upgrades are going to come in here. If he gets siege mode here pretty quick, then he could take the game, take firm control of the advantage in this game really quickly if he gets siege mode right here. I'm not sure what he was researching, but actually his vultures are now speed upgraded, so I can tell that's what he was researching there. So he's not going to get siege mode here, but there are no mines involved, so those vultures are going to be pretty undermatched by those tanks, but with all those SCVs surrounding, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to that tank, keep that tank pinned down so it's not able to run away from the vultures, and both players destroying a lot of SCVs of each other's, and UpMagic is even going to run away with a few extra, and he's landed his barracks to make Marines as well. UpMagic realizes he has the advantage here. He's going to try to push as much damage down as he can and just keep the forces coming in, and keep the advantage up, keep the pressure on, and this is a beautiful move that he's doing right now. Is actually he's going to pull back. I was wrong about that. It looks like he is going to pull back. He's not going to try and keep the pressure on, although that may be because he realized that Fantasy had extra factories and was producing a lot more vultures. He wasn't going to be able to deal with that. But it's always a good move to not always, but it's often a good move to when you're putting on the pressure like that. I mean, that's when the enemy's distracted. That's not when they're going to be able to counterattack. That's when you want to be either expanding, teching, or something like that. Well, expanding or teching. And that's exactly what he did. He got the starport going at that same time. And that could be really brutal against Fantasy, who has no tech units right now. Only vultures. He does not have any Goliaths. He doesn't have an engineering base. So if wraiths come out, they could do a lot of damage, especially if he manages to get a few wraiths in before Fantasy realizes that he has the starport. A few tanks could come in at the same. Wraiths could come in at the same time and really do some damage. Siege mode is upgraded now, and he's got plenty of vultures to protect his tanks. Although he only has the single tank left, and it looks like he's producing a lot of vultures just to protect that tank because if he goes too tank heavy, then the vultures will be able to overrun him and just get too close to the siege mode tanks. But okay, now he's producing more tanks. I was going to say, but I think he has enough vultures that he's kind of safe there. And control tower going down, as well as a comsat station. He does not know exactly what's going on in the back of Fantasy space because for all he knows, Fantasy was doing the same thing and teching to raids while that attack was happening. And he's actually going after that barracks now, and I think that's a little bit of a mistake going after that barracks with his Wraith, because I mean, he's losing a window here while he's attacking that barracks.